Okay, so, like, I think about all those videos that talk about the dark moment in the first Rugrats movie where they're talking about how Tommy's gonna let Dill get mauled by monkeys. I at least think that's the implication. That's like when he's like, "You want nanners?" and he, like, holds over the jar of banana food over Dill, and, like, then he realizes he can't let his brother be mauled by monkeys, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's so dark." The first Rugrats movie was really dark. And I personally kind of never took it that way. I thought he wanted the monkeys to take Dill away. I don't know if that's just like what my childhood explanation was. I don't know. I find it hard to believe they were fucking Arlene Klasky and Supako. The people who made Rugrats, I doubt they were sitting there like, well, and then Tommy pretty much wants him to get mauled by the monkeys, right? I mean, that's just a unanimous, that'll be the climax of this fucking movie. And I don't, like, maybe that is the case, maybe it really just was that dark, but I always kind of just thought he reasoned the monkeys would take him after that. Because there's an earlier scene when they're, like, licking the banana stuff off Chucky or some shit, so they didn't really maul him. But anyway, that's not my whole point. I'm not talking about the first movie just to be like, I disagree with everybody, but I want to actually talk about a darker Rugrats moment. It's in the first 3 seasons, which a lot of people, they're like, there's 2 eras of Rugrats. Arrows? There's like 3 eras. There's the one where Dill was born, and then all that. All grown up. All grown up? I don't know. Anyway, I kind of consider, like, the first 3 seasons a totally different era of Rugrats from the rest of the series, because the writing staff was different, the humor was different, the style was, like, less clean. It was older, but it was just, it was kind of just, I think that Klasky Supako, that classic, like, ugliness. It just had more of that. And I remember when they brought it back in the late 90s, before they even had Dill, my sister refused to watch the Rugrats because she was like, this is different, it's a kiddier show, it's not as funny, it changed. And, as a kid I was like, no, it's still fucking good, you shut up. But, as an adult now, I'm like, yeah, there is a difference, definitely. I do see a difference between, that break, that hiatus when they came back and they had a different writing staff. So, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. The first 3 seasons of Rugrats had a little more, adult humor, darker humor, I don't know. And I think of this episode a lot when people bring up how the movie was really dark. I think of this episode, which, was called New Kid in Town. I have the wiki pulled up. I've seen this episode so many times, but I had to pull up this wiki because you'll see why. And it's about this kid named Josh who befriends the Rugrats, but he turns out to be worse than Angelica. And it starts out with Angelica, they're at the park, and they're unsupervised, of course, because the parents are fucking garbage. And Angelica's bossing all the babies, and they're like, hey, you gotta dig me a moat because I'm the big kid, you're the fucking small kids, and you do what I say. And they're like, this sucks, I don't want to dig a moat. And then this kid named Josh, he's wearing these overalls and a stupid hat, and he's like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, we're digging a moat. And he's like, well, that's not fair. That's like Josh's whole thing, is he talks about fairness throughout the episode. And it's interesting they did that. It's like, you knew a kid like this. It's so weird because you knew a kid that would be like, well, you're being mean, but they're the bullies. And you'd be like, well, they called me mean, so I must be mean, I don't know, it's just that's so weird that they made this villain up. Anyway, a villain. I say villain because I have the villain's wiki up. He's in the villain's wiki! But anyway, he convinces the babies to come join him to ditch Angelica, and they do, because he seems nice and friendly, and Angelica's a known asshole, so Angelica's like, fine, fuck you, go. And they go, and Josh, at first seems really cool, but slowly Tommy kind of realizes he's not being fair, that, he makes them do what he wants to do. He makes them push him on the tire swing. He takes their cookies and gives them a shitty lollipop to share, and he's like, well, that isn't fair, and it's like he doesn't even know what fair means. He just kind of says that throughout the episode to kind of win any argument. He's one of those. And it gets to a point where he's like having them dig a moat, but he doesn't call it a moat, he calls it sand adventure. And Tommy's like, this is fucking bullshit. And he goes back to Angelica. Angelica's like, you know what, you fucked up, I'm not gonna help you out, Tommy. And Tommy's like, fine, and he leaves. And Josh is like, oh, so you left to get Angelica back. Well, now you're gonna be punished. And this is what I mean by dark. This is why I think this is kind of darker than the first Rugrats movie. This kid, a child, makes them put their heads in the dirt. He, like, pushes them face down in the dirt, makes them all line up in a uniform way, so he can get on the swing, right? And he's swinging, and they're like, Josh, you're not gonna jump over us, are you? And he's like, oh, of course not. I'm going to jump on you. And it's like, holy shit, this kid had the intention of fucking killing the babies. He's just very... First off, he gaslights them the entire fucking episode. And then he's like, you know what, for you fucking trying to go back to Angelica, I'm gonna murder you. And maybe he didn't think that would kill the babies, right? You know, he's a child, he's probably not thinking that, but I can't help it. I watch a lot of true crime, and I know I shouldn't make this association. It's like I'm overanalyzing a fucking episode of Rugrats from the fucking early 90s, but it just seems devious. It seems very, like, there's something not right with Josh, like, I don't know, it kind of just creeps me out a little bit that he was very emotionally abusive, which Angelica can be too, but I don't know, I'd argue it's different with Angelica. It's less, no, I don't know, Angelica does some terrible shit though. But anyway, yeah, he's gonna jump on the fucking baby. He's gonna stomp the babies to death. Really think about that. And you know, people go, well, what's the difference between that and Tommy pouring the banana stuff on Dill? It's never explicitly said. Tommy's not like, I'm gonna pour this so the monkeys attack you. It's very vague what he thought was gonna happen. Whereas Josh is like, yeah, I'm gonna jump on you. I am going to hurt you, you know, essentially. And fucking Angelica comes, thank God, and throws water balloons at him and then pushes him and he runs away and cries. I think about how, like, if Angelica didn't show up, he would have killed the babies, and you know, that's the parents' fault. Angelica shouldn't have been the mediator in this situation. It should have been whoever the fucking parent of the week that was watching them. But again, that's another discussion. I don't even want to get into that. That's like just that's basic fucking Rugrats knowledge that the parents are terrible. And yeah, I don't know, it's funny that I think about this episode. It comes up so often in my brain about how this fucking character is just this piece of shit. And you never see him or hear from him again. He's not even like a background character, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, he's just kind of gone after that. There's just this random episode where this fucking kid is an asshole to the babies and then is gonna fucking stomp on them. And that's crazy to me, and nobody talks about it. You know, I know the babies have been in a lot of fucking situations where they could have died, like the giant robot fight in the second movie, but that's stupid and I don't want to talk about that. But nobody talks about this kid. Like, it's very rarely brought up, and I think the reason why it's kind of scarier than Tommy throwing bananas on Dill, or the giant robot, or, I don't know, some of the other shit, is because it seems realistic. It just seems like, yeah, I could imagine hearing about some kid doing this. It's just kind of unsettling. He just comes in and does this, you know? And the villain's wiki, which now I'm gonna talk about, if I can scroll down. This is what the trivia about Josh says. Despite being a minor character, Josh is arguably one of the darkest of the Rugrats villains, as he was worse than Angelica, as he was going to jump on the babies, which likely would have killed them. And it's just funny that, like, this kid had such an impact on whoever runs this fucking wiki that he got an article. I don't know, that's all I had to say about it. Oh, by the way, he's voiced by the late Dana Hill. I don't know if you knew that. And that's it, that's all I wanted to say. Wait, I changed my mind. There's this episode of Rugrats where he goes to the post office, Tommy goes to the post office, and there's this, like, mailman skeleton inside the mail chute, and Tommy almost falls to his death in there. That's the darkest Rugrats moment. Bye, everybody!